So, hello everybody. How are you? How are you feeling? I hope you are fine. Today we shall continue with our lectures. Lecture 4, Parts of Speech Theory. This is a continuation of our previous lessons. They are closely related to each other. In this lecture, I'm going to teach you parts of speech. How are parts of speech classified? The principles and criteria used in the classification of parts of speech. Different views about parts of speech put forward by different linguists of time, and the actual division of parts of speech. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you by means of my presentation. Let's start. So, parts of speech. Lecture 4, parts of speech. So, different scholars have put forward different theories into the classification of parts of speech, and I'm going to start by the classification put forward by Illich. So, according to Illich, the term parts of speech, though firmly established, is not a very happy one. What is meant by a part of speech is a type of word different from other types in some grammatical point or points. To take the clearest example of all, the verb is a type of word different from all other types in that it alone has the grammatical category of tense. Thus, while it's perfectly reasonable to ask what is the past tense of the word live, the answer of course is live, it would make no sense to ask what is the past tense of the word city, or what is the past tense of the word big. Those words just haven't got any past tense or any tense whatever. For that matter, the notion of tense can't be applied to them. Tense is one of the distinctive features characterizing the verb against every other type of verb. However, the question is much less simple with reference to some other types of verbs, and the general definition of the principles on which classification of parts of speech is based becomes absolutely necessary. So, shortly, the categories of one parts of speech don't coincide with the categories of speech of other. For example, the categories of verb can't be used with the categories of adjective or noun. So, as an example, he gives the category of tense, which can be applied for noun or adjective. In that matter, in this light of problems, or we divide parts of speech into groups. So, the principles on which the classification is based are three in number. The first one, meaning; the second one, form; the third one, function. Each of these requires some additional explanations. Let's continue. By meaning. By meaning, we don't mean the individual meaning of each separate word. It's a lexical meaning. So we don't mean it's a lexical meaning, but the meaning common to all the words of the given class and constituting its essence. So, for example, by meaning we understand the class of words expressing action. By noun we mean the class of words expressing thingness or pattern. By adjective we mean, by meaning of the adjective we mean the class of words expressing quality, and so on. So, thus the meaning of the substantive noun is thingness. This applies equally to all and every noun and constitutes the structure of meaning of the noun as a type of word. By form we mean the morphological characteristics of a type of word. Thus, the noun is characterized by the category of number, singular and plural. The word by tense mood, etc. Several types of words, prepositions, conjunctions, and others are characterized by invariability. So by form, we understand mostly grammatical categories of parts of speech. So the last one, by function, we mean the syntactical properties of a type of verb. These are subdivided into two. A, its method of combining with other verbs. B, its function in the sentence. A has to deal with phrases, B with sentence structure. Taking as we did previously the verb as a specimen, we can state that, for example, a verb combines with the following noun, write letters, and also with the following adverb, write quickly. As to B, the syntactic function of a verb in a sentence is that of a predicate. So, by function, we mean two, A and B. A, combination, combinability, and B, syntactic function. These are the functions. Okay. Different views about parts of speech. So, parts of speech is a lexicosemantic classes of words distinguished on the basis of their syntactic, morphological, and semantic characteristics. This notion was put forward by Sherba, a famous linguist. Historically, in Greek grammar, Plato used to classify three parts of speech: a noun, a verb, and an adjective. At that time, there were no prepositions, articles, conjunctions, particles, and so on. He classified only three parts of speech. Okay? Henry Sweet's theory. He classifies parts of speech as declinables, such as nouns, adjectives, verbs. Indeclinables, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections, noun words, nouns, non-pronouns, non-numerals, infinitive, gerund. And in syntactic point of view, adjective words, adjectives, adjective criterion, pronouns, adjective numerals, participles, verb words, finite and non-finite forms. This is the idea put forward by Henry Sweet. Otto Jesperson's theory is of three ranks. He classifies them according to their criterion functioning in the sentence. For example, a furiously barking dog. Dog is the first part, criteria, barking two, the second criteria, and furious is the third. Okay, next. Charles Fry's theory is also based on criterion position in the sentence, but it's much more developed than the previous one. For example, the concept was good, it was there. He classifies them: class 1, class 2, class 3, and class 4. Class 1, nouns, he, reading, to read, is reach, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Group A, words that can occupy the position of the, no, their, John's, each, this. Group B, words that occur in the position of may, might, can, could, will. Group C, not. Group G, the verb do, be, does. Group H, there. Group L, yes, no. Group M, attention, getting signals to listen, look, say, and so on. So, now we have come to class, this division of parts of speech. Mostly, parts of speech are divided into two big groups: notional and functional. Some linguists also classify functional as structural. So, notional parts of speech have their lexical meaning and they denote a notion. Functional parts of speech demonstrate the relations between notional words or specify its grammatical meaning. So, they lack notional meaning. So one of the disputable questions concerned in a theoretical grammar is are category of state, modal verbs, probably perhaps, because some linguists classify modal words as adverbs, pronouns, and particles. article, for example, there is a disagreement about the number of types of articles. Some scholars say that there are only two types of articles, definite and indefinite, while others say that there are three types of definite, indefinite, and zero article. So also about auxiliary verbs, and the last one, functional parts of speech, because some scholars say that there are only two types of functional parts of speech. Some say three, others say five. Okay, continue. Functional parts of speech. Structure. It's also structural parts of speech. What are they? They are distinguished on the basis of functional competence. So they demonstrate the relations between the notional words or specify the grammatical meaning. They denote subjectivity modality. They don't denote the notion. They don't have grammatical categories. They are characterized by a simple word structure and usually have one syllable. They can't be a member of the sentence. They are homogeneous, but, and, if, but, in order that, and etc. Let's look at the history of parts of speech. As I said, Plato divided parts of speech into three. Only a noun, verb, and the adjective. But during the history, new parts of speech were added during the course of time. For example, in the 7th and 11th centuries, noun, adjective, adverb, numeral, pronoun, verb. There were such kind of parts of speech. So in the beginning there were only three, but in the 7th and 11th century there have become 6 parts of speech. From 11th till 15th century, articles, participle 1, 2, and gerund were added. In the 15th up to now, pronoun, preposition, conjunction, and particle were added into the classification of parts of speech. So, as a result, Kobrina and Korneyeva distinguish parts of speech in the following way. They say the notional parts of speech are the noun, the adjective, the stative, the pronoun, the numeral, the verb, the adverb, the modal verbs, and the interjection. And the functional parts of speech, the preposition, the conjunction, and the particle. You see, there are only 3 types of functional parts of speech according to their classification. Also, Koshanskaya classifies as follows. He says that there are the notional parts of speech. They are the noun, the adjective, the verb or the state, the pronoun, the numeral, the verb, the adverb, the modal verbs, and the last one, the interjection. And he classified 4 types of functional parts of speech. They are preposition, the conjunction, the particle, and the article. And Krylova. Krylova has the minimalistic idea about parts of speech because he classifies only 6 notional parts of speech and 3 structural parts of speech. And we have to note that he classifies functional parts of speech as the structural parts of speech. And so I have to give the translation here. The notional parts of speech in Uzbek is mustaqil söz dökümleri. The structural parts of speech or the functional parts of speech, in most cases scholars classify them as functional parts of speech, are yardımcı söz dökümleri. Okay. Krylova classifies the notional parts of speech as the noun, the pronoun, the adjective, the numeral, the verb, and the adverb. And the structural parts of speech, the preposition, the conjunction, and the article. Okay, he doesn't mention here particle. So this was the. At last we have questions about parts of speech. I will read the most important. Give the definition of the parts of speech, characterize the notional and functional parts of speech, and so on. Um, After reading the materials on the lecture and watching the video and presentation, you have to answer the following questions. These questions will be given to you on the Moodle platform. So this is all for now. I hope you liked my video lesson. See you. Bye bye.